You won't believe what my father-in-law did to my dog after stealing from us. Me, 28F, and my husband, 30M, have been together for 5 years, married for 2. We've always had a great relationship, built on trust, honesty, and mutual respect. Or so I thought. My husband's family has always been a bit unconventional. His father, 55M, is a notorious gambler, constantly chasing the next big win at the expense of everything else. His mother, 53F, is a master manipulator, skilled in playing the victim and twisting situations to her advantage. Despite their flaws, I tried to maintain a cordial relationship with them for my husband's sake. Little did I know, the storm brewing within their dysfunctional dynamic was about to unleash chaos upon our lives. It all started a few months ago when my husband's parents announced they were getting a divorce. While not entirely unexpected, given their tumultuous history, it still came as a shock. My husband was devastated, torn between his loyalty to both parents. His father's gambling habit had spiraled out of control, leaving them in crippling debt. His mother, ever the opportunist, saw this as her chance to gain the upper hand in the divorce proceedings. In the midst of this family turmoil, we received an unexpected visitor, my husband's childhood pet, a golden retriever named Buddy. His parents claimed they could no longer afford to care for him and asked if we could take him in temporarily. Being animal lovers, we agreed without hesitation. Little did we know, this seemingly innocent request was the catalyst for a series of events that would rock our world. A few weeks after Buddy's arrival, my husband noticed some strange behavior. The normally docile dog would become agitated whenever his father was around, growling and barking incessantly. At first, we dismissed it as Buddy adjusting to his new surroundings. But then, strange things started happening, valuable items going missing, unexplained scratches on the furniture, and even a few instances of Buddy trying to bite my husband's father. Concerned, we decided to set up a hidden camera in the living room to monitor Buddy's behavior while we were at work. What we uncovered was shocking. The footage revealed my father-in-law sneaking into our house when we were away, rifling through our belongings and pocketing anything of value he could find. But that wasn't the worst part. To our horror, we witnessed him physically abusing Buddy, kicking and hitting the defenseless dog whenever he dared to bark or come near him. It was a sickening display of cruelty that left us shaken to the core. Confronted with the undeniable evidence, my husband broke down in tears. How could his own father, the man he had idolized as a child, be capable of such despicable acts? Fueled by a mixture of anger and disbelief, we decided to confront my father-in-law. We arranged a family meeting, inviting both his parents to our home under the pretense of discussing the divorce proceedings. As they arrived, the tension in the air was palpable. My mother-in-law sensed something was amiss but remained her usual manipulative self, playing the concerned mother card to the hilt. It was then that we revealed the damning evidence, the videos of my father-in-law's theft and abuse towards Buddy. The initial shock on their faces quickly turned to denial and deflection. "Those videos must be doctored," my father-in-law spat, his face contorted in rage. "You're trying to turn my own son against me." My mother-in-law was quick to jump to his defense, painting us as the villains, accusing us of fabricating the whole thing to gain leverage in the divorce proceedings. "How dare you try to tear this family apart?" she hissed, her eyes burning with contempt. "After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us?" The air was thick with tension as accusations and insults flew back and forth. My husband, caught in the crossfire, struggled to maintain composure as his world crumbled around him. In the heat of the moment, my father-in-law made a grave mistake. Enraged by our accusations, he lunged towards Buddy, intent on inflicting further harm on the innocent animal. Without thinking, I stepped between them, shielding Buddy from his wrath. The next thing I knew, a sharp pain radiated through my face as my father-in-law's fist connected with my cheek. Stunned, I stumbled backward, cradling my throbbing cheek. My husband, witnessing the assault, snapped. In a blur of motion, he tackled his father to the ground, restraining him as best he could. The chaos that ensued was deafening. My mother-in-law screamed at the top of her lungs, hurling insults and threats, demanding that my husband release her innocent husband. Buddy, sensing the danger, barked and snarled, adding to the cacophony of noise that filled our once peaceful home. In the midst of the pandemonium, I managed to call the police, my voice trembling as I recounted the events that had transpired. Within minutes, the wail of sirens pierced the air, and a team of officers stormed into our home, quickly taking control of the situation. As the dust settled, my father-in-law was handcuffed and led away, spewing profanities and threats of retaliation. My mother-in-law, ever the master manipulator, launched into a melodramatic performance, claiming we had orchestrated the whole thing to frame her poor, innocent husband. The officers, having reviewed the video evidence, saw through her lies. They assured us that charges would be filed against my father-in-law for theft, animal abuse, and assault. But the drama was far from over. In the days that followed, my mother-in-law launched a vicious smear campaign against us. She spread lies and rumors throughout our community, painting us as the villains who had torn her family apart. Friends and neighbors who had once been cordial suddenly turned cold, avoiding us like the plague. Whispers and sideways glances followed us wherever we went, and the once welcoming atmosphere of our neighborhood became suffocating. My husband, already reeling from the betrayal of his father, struggled to cope with the added stress and isolation. He retreated into himself, becoming distant and withdrawn, leaving me to shoulder the burden alone. As if the emotional turmoil wasn't enough, my mother-in-law took her vengeance a step further. She filed a lawsuit against us, claiming we had fabricated the entire incident in an attempt to gain leverage in the divorce proceedings. The legal fees began to pile up, draining our savings and stretching our finances to the breaking point. We found ourselves trapped in a nightmare of our own making, simply for trying to do the right thing. Through it all, Buddy remained our constant companion, a source of comfort and unconditional love in the midst of the chaos. His presence reminded us of the innocence we were fighting to protect, fueling our determination to see this through, no matter the cost. After months of grueling legal battles, the truth finally prevailed. The overwhelming evidence, including our own testimony and the damning video footage, left no doubt as to my father-in-law's guilt. He was convicted on charges of theft, animal abuse, and assault, facing a hefty fine and a suspended sentence. The judge, in his wisdom, also granted a restraining order, prohibiting him from contacting us or coming within a certain distance of our home. My mother-in-law's lawsuit was dismissed, her web of lies unraveled by the weight of the evidence against her. The court ordered her to pay our legal fees, a small victory in the aftermath of the emotional and financial toll the ordeal had taken. While the legal battles had been won, the scars ran deep. My husband, once a beacon of strength and resilience, was a mere shadow of his former self. The betrayal by his own family had shaken him to his core, leaving him questioning everything he had once believed. Our once thriving social circle had dwindled, as the lies and rumors spread by my mother-in-law had taken their toll. Friends and neighbors who had once been pillars of support now regarded us with suspicion and disdain. The financial strain of the legal fees had left us teetering on the edge of financial ruin, forcing us to make difficult choices and sacrifices just to keep our heads above water. In the aftermath of the chaos, we found solace in the one constant that had remained by our side through it all, Buddy. The once abused dog had blossomed into a loving and loyal companion, his gentle presence a balm for our wounded souls. As we navigated the treacherous waters of healing and rebuilding our lives, Buddy became our anchor, a reminder of the innocence and unconditional love we had fought so hard to protect. Slowly, with time and perseverance, the wounds began to heal. My husband, though forever changed by the ordeal, found strength in our love and in the unwavering loyalty of our furry friend. Looking back on the events that had nearly torn our lives apart, I can't help but feel a sense of bittersweet triumph. While the scars may never fully heal, we emerged from the crucible of betrayal and deceit with a newfound resilience and appreciation for the true meaning of family. My husband's parents, once pillars of our lives, have faded into the background, their toxic influence banished from our lives forever. In their place stands a new family, forged in the fires of adversity, a family built on love, trust, and the unbreakable bond we share with our beloved Buddy. As we move forward, one thing is certain: no matter what challenges life may throw our way, we will face them together, armed with the strength and wisdom born of our trials. For in the end, it is not the blood that courses through our veins that defines us, but the love and loyalty that bind us together, transcending even the most twisted of family dramas. Break Story 2. Me, 38F, and my husband, 40M, had been married for 12 years. We had 2 beautiful children, a son, 10M, and a daughter, 8F. My husband worked as an engineer, and I was a stay-at-home mom. Life was good, or so I thought. My family had always been a source of drama and dysfunction. My parents, 60F, and 62M, were narcissists who constantly belittled me and favored my older brother, 42M. They were wealthy and used their money to control and manipulate us. Despite their toxicity, I tried to maintain a relationship with them for the sake of my children. Things took a turn for the worse when my father's company went bankrupt. Suddenly, their lavish lifestyle was in jeopardy. My parents began lashing out at us, blaming us for their financial troubles. They demanded that we give them money, claiming that we owed them for all the sacrifices they made while raising us. My husband and I refused, as we had worked hard for our modest savings. This infuriated my parents, and they resorted to manipulative tactics to get what they wanted. They would show up unannounced, guilt-tripping us and bad-mouthing us in front of our children. One day, my son came home from school visibly upset. He revealed that my parents had approached him during recess and tried to convince him that we were terrible parents who didn't love him. They promised him expensive gifts and trips if he helped them get our money. I was livid. How dare they try to turn my own son against us? This was a new low, even for them. It was then that I realized their true colors and the depths of their depravity. I confronted my parents, demanding an explanation for their despicable behavior. Instead of apologizing, they doubled down, claiming that they were simply looking out for their grandson's best interests. They accused us of being selfish and ungrateful, saying that we owed them everything. My husband and I had had enough. We cut all ties with them and filed for a restraining order, prohibiting them from coming near our children or our home. We thought that would be the end of it, but we were wrong. My parents didn't take kindly to being cut off from their potential source of income. They began a smear campaign, spreading lies about us to our friends and family. They even tried to turn my brother against us, but he had witnessed their toxicity firsthand and stood by our decision. Things escalated when they started showing up at my husband's workplace, causing a scene and demanding to see him. His boss, concerned for the safety of his employees, threatened to call the police if they didn't leave. We decided to take legal action, suing them for harassment and emotional distress. During the court proceedings, they tried to paint us as the villains, claiming that we were neglecting our filial duties and abandoning them in their time of need. However, our lawyer was able to present overwhelming evidence of their manipulative and abusive behavior, including witness testimonies from my brother and our children's teachers. The judge was appalled by my parents' actions, especially their attempt to turn our son against us. She awarded us a substantial sum in damages and issued a permanent restraining order, forbidding my parents from contacting us or coming within a certain distance of our home or workplaces. We thought this would finally put an end to their torment, but they were far from done. A few weeks later, we discovered that my parents had taken out a second mortgage on their home, using the money to hire a private investigator to follow us. They were hell-bent on finding any dirt they could use against us in an attempt to regain control and access to our finances. We beefed up our security, installed cameras around our property, and changed our routine to make it harder for the investigator to track us. We also consulted with our lawyer about additional legal measures we could take. Despite our efforts, the investigator managed to obtain some damaging information. He caught my husband on camera having a friendly conversation with a female co-worker, which my parents twisted into an affair narrative. They threatened to release the evidence to our friends, family, and my husband's employer unless we gave them a lump sum of money. We refused to be blackmailed and called their bluff, knowing that they had nothing concrete. True to their word, my parents began spreading the rumor of my husband's supposed affair. They sent doctored photos and fabricated text messages to everyone we knew, trying to turn our loved ones against us. While some people saw through their lies, others believed the smear campaign. We lost a few friends, and my husband's job was briefly in jeopardy until we were able to provide proof of my parents' deceit. The final straw came when my parents tried to gain custody of our children, claiming that we were unfit parents due to the affair and the emotional distress we were causing our kids. We knew we had to act swiftly and decisively to protect our family. We gathered every shred of evidence we had against them, from the restraining orders to the private investigators' reports, and took them to court. In a stunning turn of events, the judge not only dismissed my parents' custody case but also found them in contempt of court for violating the previous restraining orders. They were slapped with hefty fines and threatened with jail time if they continued their harassment. Additionally, the judge awarded us full custody of our children and prohibited my parents from having any contact with them until they underwent mandatory therapy and anger management classes. To ensure our safety, we also filed for a permanent protective order against my parents. This meant that if they came within a certain distance of us or our children, they could be arrested on the spot. We felt a sense of relief knowing that the legal system was finally on our side, but the emotional scars ran deep. The aftermath of my parents' actions took a toll on our family. Our children struggled with feelings of betrayal and confusion, wondering how their grandparents could treat us so poorly. We sought counseling to help them process their emotions and rebuild their sense of trust. It was a long and difficult journey, but slowly, we began to heal. As for my husband and me, we learned to set firm boundaries and prioritize our mental health. We realized that sometimes, Cutting off toxic relationships is necessary for our well-being, no matter how difficult it may be. Looking back, I'm grateful that we had the strength and resilience to stand up to my parents' abuse and manipulation. Their actions were despicable, but they taught us valuable lessons about loyalty, love, and the true meaning of family. While the scars may never fully heal, we've emerged stronger and more united than ever before. Our children know that they are loved and protected, and that's all that matters. To anyone going through a similar situation, know that you are not alone. Have the courage to break the cycle of toxicity and surround yourself with people who truly care about your well-being. Your mental health and happiness are worth fighting for.